In today's video, we're going to do a follow-up, basically a part 2 of the first video where I started taking the seats out of the car and modifying the floor pans. Basically what's happening is I am lowering the seats inside the car. So this is a little clip, kind of a montage of what I put together as I was building this frame that will go underneath both seats. In this example, I was showing my passenger seat. It's the same process that I did for both seats. So hopefully somebody here watching might find something that they like or might want to use. Not saying it's the best method to go about it, but it is one method that hopefully works. I've driven the car just a little bit so far and everything seems to be fine. My car is a 76 and the late model cars like 76, 77, 78, maybe 75 have a hump on the transmission tunnel for the original catalytic converter. So that screws up a lot of options as far as seats go and makes it even more difficult to lower the seat in the car, but it is still possible. You just have to modify that bump out a little bit. I used a hammer with mine. The right way to do it would be to just cut it out and basically build a new floor. For me, I'm not that much of a fabricator, so I didn't want to go that far with it. But here is the clip of me building it. I kind of felt sick the day that I did it, so I didn't really talk to the camera. I didn't feel like doing any of that. I just showed a little bit of the process as it went. Now, one part I did not show of the process was me spraying new Raptor liner. I do have a couple videos of spraying the Raptor liner in the little Datsun 620 that I used to have. So a lot of this was kind of chipped away when I redid the seat, so I had to redo it. It turned out okay. You can kind of see some of the spots where it flaked up, like right there, and I put the new coat over it. The Raptor liner doesn't hide that all that well, but it does hide a lot of real minor imperfections. Things like weld seams and stuff like that, it does a pretty good job of covering up. Of the difference in seat height, they sit significantly lower now than they used to. The passenger side might be just slightly higher than the driver's side. I did notice, at least with my 76, the shape of the floor under the seat is a little bit different. There's a bump for the frame rail. I don't know if you can tell with the camera right here, where the driver's side doesn't seem to have that, but the passenger side does, so it makes it so the seat sits just a little bit higher. These are just some random steel spacers. They are, I believe they're about 1 inch. They're either 3/4 of an inch or 1 inch, somewhere around there. And I put those on just the front, just to keep the seat leaning back in the car a little bit. The original seat mounts actually tip the seat way back, and I think basically what that does is just keeps you positioned in the seat better so you don't tend to slide forward as much. So I wanted to try to replicate that a little bit. I couldn't get quite as extreme as what the factory mount was, but it's better than the seat being flat, at least. I noticed when driving my E46 that the seats feel relatively flat, but these still have a decent amount of pitch leaning you back and keeping you back in the middle of the seat. So the seat frame that I built actually bolts through the floor from the bottom of the car. You can see that little bolt right there. There's 4 of those. 1 back there, and then 2 on this side as well. So the frame fastens to the floor, and then the seat fastens to the frame. I wasn't quite as happy with the passenger side just because the floor had to flex a little bit to get all these to sit flush. So there's some gaps, but they are at least flush where the bolts go in. Driver's side was a little more straightforward with that because it was a flatter area under the seat, but it's definitely more than secure. It actually feels more secure than the original mounts did, to be honest. So should be okay with that. I think the space with the Sparco R100s in this section right here, that didn't change a whole lot because they pretty much fit like that before. The door doesn't have any issue hitting that or anything like that, but it does make it harder with the reclining seats to go any further back because you have to get around this B pillar. By doing this, it actually put my harness bar at a more ideal height compared to the cutouts in the seat for the harnesses. So I was very happy with that because the seat's lowered probably about 2 inches. The driver's seat before used to rub on the plastic up above there, and now you can see there's a pretty decent gap in between the seat and the ceiling of the car, and I actually have a little bit of headspace now, so I feel pretty good about that. Now this is the driver's side. Like I said, it's just probably a tiny bit lower than the passenger side. Not super noticeable, but you can definitely see now there's a lot of space between the seat. It used to, when it was leaned a little further back, it used to hit that plastic piece back there. If you look close, you can kind of see where I pounded in the tunnel. Doesn't look the greatest, but I had to do that just to get the seat to be able to sit further down. As you can see now, on the driver's side, it's the same story over here as well with the brackets. I just did it identical on both sides. There was each side, drivers and passenger, at least on my 76, had its own unique challenge to it, and it's definitely no easy task, but hopefully it pays off. I can actually sit in the car without touching my head on the top. I'm 6'3", and there's actually a little bit of space for me now. I guess one thing I noticed with the tunnel bumping out the way that it does, is it feels like maybe the seat moved slightly to the left in the car, like I'm closer to the door panel, but it's not so much that it really bothers me too much. I think it'll be just fine. If you are a little bit shorter and for some reason wanted to have more headroom, I guess if you had a shorter torso it might be a little harder to see out over the dash and everything, but I definitely don't have an issue with that. Another plus side, for me at least, is the car feels about 2 inches lower when you sit about 2 inches lower, so it feels kind of nice. As I mentioned in the last video, there is a new addition to the channel. Hopefully it will improve a lot of the video quality that I have for you guys. I used this in the last video with Jake's Civic a little bit towards the end. The last maybe 5 or so minutes of that video was with the gimbal. I'm still kind of learning how to use it, and it probably looks a little robotic at the moment. I'm probably not going to use it for every type of filming because it is kind of big and a little bit bulky when you're trying to get into a tight space with it. But for a lot of things, I think it'll work out really well. So thanks for watching, guys. Those last couple shots obviously were with the gimbal. I'm currently using it right now, and it's a little bit heavy, especially to try to hold it with one hand. I think I definitely get a lot better shots. I'll be able to get better action shots and everything by using this. Everything will be more steady. So hopefully it gives me an opportunity to do a lot more different types of filming and get way better quality with my videos. And hopefully you guys, maybe at least one person, found this seat project helpful, and maybe it'll give you a little confidence to try it yourself. I would say if you're gonna take on this challenge, you definitely want access to a welder and grinding tools, things like that. Like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. If you haven't watched the first video on it and you're interested in modifying your seats like this, definitely watch that first video, because it'll kind of give you an idea of what you're up against to start off with. I probably should have filmed the Raptor liner process, but you could finish off however you wanted. You could put carpet in, whatever it is you're doing with your car. Everybody's is probably gonna look a little different. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you appreciate the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and we're gonna keep getting more videos out to you guys as soon as possible. It's been kind of cold out lately, and I don't have a whole lot of motivation to do anything, so I might as well edit some videos. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.